Welcome back to another episode. For today, this is actually going to be part one of a part two series. We are going to be focusing on a bear hug over the arms from the front. The first part will be focused on under the arms, whereas the second part will be focused on over the arms. So this will be for the first part, and you'll have to tune back in later for part two. So when it comes to abduction techniques, a very common one is essentially a bear grab, meaning that they're going to scoop you up over the arms, under the arms, pick you up over the shoulders, pick you up in general, and basically take you from one place to another. What we're going to try and focus on today is preventing the pickup aspect of this from even happening in the first place. And then again, once we kind of get to some of those techniques down the road, then we'll start focusing on what happens if they do pick you up. But for now, we're going to focus on preventing that from happening even in the first place. Alright, so for bear hug under the arms, a couple things again to take note before we even begin this technique. First thing to note, their arms are tied up because obviously they're grabbing me underneath. Now, this person can be grabbing you up high, kind of right underneath your arms, or they may be grabbing you down a little bit lower. This all depends on this person's initial grab of, are they coming in simply to kind of just grab on tight, or are they getting low to load you up to pick you up eventually? So that is going to slightly determine how we handle this, but still at the end of the day, the technique is going to stay the same. This is just kind of minor body mechanics that you need to pay attention to. So when they do grab you, understand that both their hands are tied up. I do have both my hands free. The difference is a lot of times they are sucking you in and keeping everything nice and tight, so even though their arms are tied up, it's still difficult for me to be able to move freely and get out of this. So there still are things I need to focus on. I still need to make sure that I'm trying to disengage the arms from grabbing me so that I can have that ability to move freely and ultimately disengage. So again, before we focus on the rest of the body, let's focus on what else we have available. So I do have my hands available. I also have my face available. Now the reason I'm mentioning this, a lot of times when it comes to these abduction techniques, you have to understand that the attacker is grabbing you nice and close, but they're not necessarily paying attention to their heads in this case. Meaning, if it comes to it, and it may sound disgusting, I can use my teeth to defend myself in this position to prevent myself from being abducted. So if it comes to the point where this person is trying to pick me up and take me away, for whatever reason, let's say I can't use my hands, or I'm trying to just hold on, for whatever reason your hands are occupied in something else, utilize your mouth. I have the ability to bite the ear, I can bite the cheek. If it came to it, I could bite onto the neck. So those are options. Obviously, you can't truly practice those, but just understand that these are options that are here to essentially protect your life if it were coming down to a life or death situation, or, like I mentioned, the possibility that you are about to be abducted. So do not count that out as an option, and just understand that I don't just have to use my limbs as weapons. I can use my teeth, my head. Those are also options that I have to defend myself. But let's focus back on the hands. So before we focus on anything else, when they grab me initially, understand that I'm tight, and I need to start kind of creating space and getting heavy. The reason I needed to do this is in order for her to pick me up, she has to stay tight to me. If I can start creating space where it makes it harder for her to hold on to, or I start getting a little bit too far away, the only way she's going to be able to pick me up is to suck me back in. So I can't just simply walk backwards and instantly get a ton of space. I have to work myself into that. So one option initially is to get heavy. The reason we get heavy is we call it dead weight. When they grab on tight, I want to get nice and heavy right away. I'm not looking to completely drop myself to the ground because I don't want this to turn into a ground fighting position. I'd rather just drop my weight and get real heavy. If you weighed 120 pounds, now you're going to weigh closer to 200 pounds. It's going to be very difficult for this person to suddenly have to pick you up. So first thing, they grab, I'm going to drop my weight a little bit and get heavy. Second thing, I'm going to tuck my head to the side of their head. This is just going to protect my neck and my head in case anything else were to happen. I don't want to leave my head out. I'm going to want to keep my head nice and close for this initial part. Drop my weight. Now, when I'm in this position, if I realize, okay, she's not letting go, she's still holding on to, now I can remove my head. But I don't want to do that too soon, because once again, if we get into this position and all of a sudden I drop my weight and she decides to let go to start striking me, my head's exposed. So I want to protect my head, protect my neck, keep this nice and close. I'm going to get heavy. You have the option to grab back if you want to, but I don't recommend this unless you have some sort of grappling experience where you can go in for a takedown, a sweep, a tackle, something that you can get the person to the ground, and then on top of that, being comfortable on the ground to handle the position from there. If you're simply just trying to disengage, I don't recommend grabbing on yourself. Get nice and heavy. My preference is I'm going to take both my hands. Again, we're going to go over that clapping motion we did in one of the previous techniques, and my goal is to attack the side of the ears. The reason I'm going to do this, and I'm going to strike real hard, I'm stunning the person. When you strike the ears, you're stunning that equilibrium. Their balance is going to kind of offset a little bit. There's a chance that they're going to let go, but they may not. But either way, I'm going to do a nice clap to the ears. You only need to do once. Don't sit here clapping over and over. Just one nice hard clap. If they don't let go, a follow-up, again, I can take my thumbs and start driving into the eyes. Now at this point, I'm going to expect that this person is immediately going to let go. So they're grabbing underneath. I'm going to clap, take my thumbs, drive into the eyes, and I'm merely pushing back. All I'm going to do is do this position until we're at this state. I don't need to sit here and continue to drive through after this. Once they've released myself from their arms, I'm backing away. By that point, they're going to be covering their eyes, protecting themselves. I have the opportunity to get away. That's all I need to do in this position. Just run like hell and find safety. So that's one option from under the arms. Second option, and you're going to find that a lot of these I do like to start with the clapping just because it's a guaranteed strike and it's right here. Again, I'm clapping the ears. This time I'm simply going to kind of push the head back, or if I wanted to, I could post my arm in front and just push off with that at the same time. Now, as she's still holding on, I'm going to continue to drop my hips and actually start walking my hips backwards. So if she's not holding on to me at this point, just understand I'm dropping my hips and I'm going to start spacing myself out a little bit so I can create distance between my hip and hers. Clap, put my arm in front, get a nice sturdy post, understanding that there's a good chance she's still going to try and push into me. I'm going to get low, start driving my hip back. Now because I'm putting pressure on the face or the neck, it's going to be very difficult for her to hold on here. I'm doing this, once again, until this grip breaks. Now, from here, if I need to, I can throw in another strike and I disengage. If I don't feel the need to do that, her hands have separated, I'm simply just going to disengage, and again, I'm getting out of here as quickly as possible. So don't necessarily think that you have to throw in that extra strike at the end. Just do it if you feel that this person is about to come at you a second time. Another option, again, grab it nice and tight. I'm going to strike with the ears. Only this time, as I push the head back, I'm also coming in with a strike. And again, this is all happening as my weight is dropping. I strike, get nice and low, and I'm just going to continue to strike. You have the option to use your forearms. I have the options to use my elbows in this. And I'm simply just going to continue to strike here, again, until those arms release. Now, from this position, I want to make sure, depending on the body, that I am taking the proper precautions. If I feel like they're still coming at me, hopefully not after the strikes that I've just done, but because of how they're standing, I can easily throw in another kick and get my distance. Now, a reason that I like to throw a kick at the end sometimes rather than a strike is because it is a good way to check that distance between myself and my attacker. Sometimes with a strike, I have to be a little bit closer for me to actually connect, whereas a kick, I don't have to be as close. I get a little bit extra space, and even if I do miss, it's a nice check of, okay, I got at least a full leg's distance between us. That's enough space for me to start backing up. A couple other options. Grab it nice and tight. You strike on the ears. It doesn't seem to be phasing them that much. I'm going to take one of my free hands. If they have hair, and again, this only works if this person has hair to hold on to, I'm going to grab nice and tight, and I'm going to start just pulling back. Now, don't expect that I'm going to be able to pull this person down on the ground. Again, all I'm trying to do is get her body to start going in that direction so that it forces her own hands off. And the reason is, a lot of people, when you get grips like this that are really tight, too many people try and focus on the actual grip itself, which is a great thing if you want to, if you're capable of doing it quickly and I can break the grip off, that's fine. But a lot of times, especially when it's behind me and I can't physically see it, I'm not going to spend the time and take the time to sit here and try and fiddle around with a hand that I can't see when I can force her body to on its own, let go of the grip and move back at the same time. And that's a win-win for me. So I'd rather focus on getting her body to move farther away from me to where the grip releases on its own. That takes one less thing that I have to focus on. If the grip at the end is still there, then we're going to have to deal with it. But honestly, if you're doing all these strikes properly and you're constantly striking, this grip is going to be the least of your concern. So I'm going to strike. Again, I'm grabbing for the hair, and I'm merely just pulling straight down. If I need to, I can come in again with a clap to the nose. Grip's going to come free. And again, as a reminder, I'm doing all this as I drop my weight to get heavy. Clap, I'm dropping my weight, I'm clapping down on the face, the hand release, and I back away. Another option, she grabs, again I clap, only this time I'm going to cup the head. Now I know I've been talking about pushing the person back, but for this particular strike I do want to hold on to this person, but I still am trying to get my hips back. The difference is I'm using my hips to get back as a way to load up my knees. As I get down to nice and low, notice that one of my legs will be back. Doesn't matter which one, whichever your preference is. Because I'm holding on to this person, they have nowhere else to go. And they have nothing to protect themselves unless they let go of their hands. So as I'm holding on nice and tight, just start throwing knees in. Whether you hit the gut, the lower groin, or even the sternum, depending on how close this person is to you. But because I'm holding on nice and tight, if she tries pulling herself free and getting away from me, she can't because I'm holding herself close to me, and the only way that she can defend herself is letting go. So again, once those hands come free to protect themselves, don't continue to throw knees after them. Reason is, if she catches one knee, now if she has a single leg, there's a very good chance I can get taken to the ground from here. So understand that as soon as you feel these hands release, your knees are done. If I need to follow up with another strike, I can, but otherwise, I'm disengaging. Real quick in review of this position. Bear hug under the arms from the front. Understand that they are grabbing you tight, you are sucked in close. Your ultimate goal is to create space and force the person to let go on their own. So step one on any of the techniques is to always drop your weight and get heavy, and initially keep your head safe. It's always nice to just tuck it to the side until you really fully understand what this person's intentions are. So I initially drop from here. I always recommend just clapping the ears right away. Remember, I can pull the hair back, throw in a couple strikes, and use that to disengage. I can clap, grab the head, start stepping back, and throwing knees until they let go. I have the option to clap, post with a forearm, and just start moving my hips backwards. I can clap, get low, start throwing in elbows, forearms, whatever I need to do until they disengage. And again, I can always throw in that kick at the end to just as a check-in of my space. So understand, just because my hands are free doesn't mean that it's a gift per se. It's very dangerous when the person has their arms completely wrapped around you, because it can very quickly go to the ground. It can very quickly turn into an abduction technique. They can throw you over their shoulders. So it is a dangerous position to be in, even though, yes, their hands are tied up. The difference is their hands are tied up and they have complete control of your body. So by getting heavy and focusing on your strikes immediately, takes away that pressure and it takes away their focus of what they're trying to do, and again, turns them on the defensive. So as many times as possible when you're doing self-defense, your main focus should be make this person have to defend themselves rather than myself. If I can turn that position onto them and now I become essentially the attacker, and this person has to switch onto the defense, there's a very good chance I'll be able to get away without many issues. So again, that's part one. Check us back next time for part two, and we'll go over bear hug over the arms from the front. Thank you.